Lose the tough guy attitude, or at least lose it partially. Matt here, back again for another development video. Just bright and breezy in the morning. Just thought I'd crack on with this development video just before I go and do some work. And this topic is about people basically projecting this image of themselves out into the world of a tough guy. You got to be a tough guy. That's how to be tough. You got to be tough. It's like I get it. I mean, sometimes you do want to keep yourself protected. You do want to keep your barriers up, of course, and I'm all in favour of that. That's a good thing. But if you're constantly in that sort of like tough guy attitude all the time, and every human interaction you encounter is you're very aggressive, or you just look like you don't have a heart. And I get why people do it. I think people want to come across like that they're really strong, and that's great. But often it's an overcompensation, and I think that a lot of people are wrapped up in this false notion of an ego preservation, an ego inflation. And people seem to think that they need to always be tough. And, I think a lot of people misinterpret toughness for strength. And I get it. I get sometimes, being tough is appropriate. And you do need to be in touch with your anger. And you do need to be in touch with your slightly more aggressive side to your personality. I get it. But you really need to be comfortable expressing vulnerability, because vulnerability is something that people would think, oh, you can't be vulnerable, that you can never be vulnerable. That's too weak. Well, there's certain types of vulnerability. I mean, there's a vulnerability which is more of an intimate vulnerability, and then there's a vulnerability which is comes across as strength. And if you can be vulnerable in a strong manner, that is not weak. That is not weak at all. In fact, that is extremely strong. And I don't see people around, many people who are able to show themselves to their very self in a very strong manner, by allowing people to see them. Allowing people to see who they are. And I'm not talking about, you want to walk into a place and you want to suddenly burst into tears. No, that's a very sensitive vulnerability, and is often probably not appropriate for an everyday situation. That's more of a private thing. But you do really want to be comfortable with vulnerability, because it can make you. It is actually a characteristic of a strong person, someone who can be vulnerable with others, and come across quite strong as a result of being comfortable in a more vulnerable state. I want to talk about this notion of mirroring as well, because this brings into that topic, this idea of mirroring somebody's behavior, and it doesn't always have to be dealt with as a manipulative manner. In fact, I'm going to draw upon this book, which is by Robert Greene, and it's called The 48 Laws of Power. And during these tutorial videos, I might dip into this book every now and then. But this topic is called Disarm and Infuriate with the Mirror Effect. And I'll read to you this passage. It says, "Do what your enemies do, following their actions as best you can, and they cannot see what you are up to. They are blinded by your mirror. Their strategy for dealing with you depends on your reacting to them in a way characteristic of you. Neutralize it by playing a game of mimicry with them." And it's very true that you want to be able to be comfortable with matching people's mood, matching people's body language, not necessarily manipulatively, but because it's a more psychologically insightful way of behaving, and that creates an element of trust between you and that person, and it can build bonds, and you don't want to be afraid to show that more vulnerable side of yourself, and maybe even a bit more of a sensitive side to yourself. So it can really help with your relationships, any type of relationship, whether that's anything that you're pursuing on a romantic level, or whether it's anything that you've you're involved with it in a social or professional level. And I think understanding that the characteristics of human interaction is key to your development as a guy. So that's all I'm going to say for this video. Watch the tough guy attitude. I see a lot of guys out there, you know, they're trying to be Mr. Tough Man, and you know what? It's an overcompensation, and it just needs to be, you know, toned down a bit, I feel. So that's all for this video, and I will see you in the next insightful video.